Well, today's episode is going to be some changes along the way. I originally was going to do 4 reviews, but however, due to certain personal matters that I had to attend to, I decided just to stick with 3. And I think you guys might like this one. We're going to review first AEW Dynamite. As you know, we're in their fallout coming out of Double or Nothing. And of course, now we're going to enter the phase for the Forbidden Door, which is something that many fans have been talking about. And we also got GCW's latest event, Downward Spiral, that also took place in Vegas. It features a lot of matches, including Matt Cardona versus Blake Christian, but we do have an interesting tag team death match, which there was a certain change within one of the teams, but it will be awesome to review. But also going to review Tokyo Joshi Pro's event that took place back on May 5th. Go do it! And this one was a lot of fun that I enjoyed watching. Also, we got some news updates regarding New Blood 3, some changes that took place for the upcoming CyberFight Festival 2022, and of course, Tokyo Joshi Pro announced something new is going to take place. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, let's begin with AEW Dynamite. As I mentioned before, we're now in the fallout ever since Double or Nothing. As you know, we have a brand new AEW World Champion, and he comes out, but he teams up with a team I mentioned during the review of Double or Nothing, and that is FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler. Now, the reason this whole thing happened is, if you remember, CM Punk was in a match, I believe it was with Dax Harwood. That match kind of gained respect for both of them because it showed them a different type of breed that they wanted. Their opponents in their hand, well, it's Max Caster along with the Gun Club, or as we call them, the Ass Boys, A. Austin and Colton, along with Anthony Bowens and Billy Gunn. Now, you know for a fact they're going to try to do dirty tricks on FTR and Punk. However, that did not help. But I did like how this team between CM Punk and FTR has been cohesive, have worked together. And I think that's why many fans have been teasing about they want to see these 3 become the first ever trios champion, which is something that's already been in the works, but that's another conversation for another time. But it was pretty good, the combination of Go to Sleep, then the Big Rig. That was what led to Dax to pick up the victory. However, as soon as the match was done, we enter into a post match. They did a little promo and all that. But however, as you know, we're entering now to the phase 2, the Forbidden Door. We saw last week that Great O'Connor and Jeff Cobb attacked FTR, and now they want a challenge for the ROH tag team titles. However, Punk is demanding to find out who his opponent he's going to face, and to our surprise, it's none other than Hiroshi Tanahashi, the Ace. This is going to be a killer match. Now, let's go back to several years ago, maybe a decade ago or so, that depends. We will never forget the infamous pipe bomb. Those who remember, CM Punk did say some certain things that WWE like, and now history repeats itself again. But this time, with MJF. His promo was on fire, but however, he's demanding for Tony Khan to fire him. Now, some of you have been questioning, is this a work, or this is for real? Look, let's compare to Punk and MJF. CM Punk has not been happy with WWE during that time, and that's what led to the problems between both sides. We're seeing history repeat itself again. But what's the difference? Well, we know that certain wrestlers are being paid more than MJF, and that's what he's demanding. But there's other things that we could consider. That what if he's not getting exactly what he wants, which is the AEW World Title? That's something we definitely could expect, but it didn't. But what didn't show on TV, Punk comes out, chases MJF, but he has one shoe on. I thought that was insane, but yeah. Now, we jump into a little victory celebration by the Jericho Appreciation Society, saying that entertainers always win. While their little celebration was crashed by William Regal and Eddie Kingston, Kingston demands blood and guts. However, he played a very good trap. He laid out a trap for Jericho. He sent Hager and Menard and Parker to attack Kingston, while Ortiz comes out of nowhere with the mad ball, whack him in the head, and cut a piece of his hair. That was a very ingenious plot to send a message to Jericho. But Jericho was livid, cannot believe that his hair was cut. So next week he will face Ortiz in a hair versus hair match. I believe this is the first time that we're going to see that in an AEW ring. Now, our next match, this is a very interesting one. Originally, we were supposed to have Adam Cole in this match, but he made a favor to his buddy, Jay White, who I think he's going to stab him in the back. Trust me, it's all about the ego. Anyway, Hikilo teams up with the members of the Undisputed Elite. We have Red Dragon and the Bucks to take on Matt Hardy. Jeff Hardy was supposed to be in this, but due to his injuries, being bagged up, so he asked Darby Allin to step up for him, and they team up with Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy. I mean, man, this match was amazing. I enjoyed exactly dynamics that we've been expecting. Even Darby Allin took matters in his own hands, but it was fantastic. But however, it was the Young Bucks that picked up the victory when they pinned Jungle Boy. And Adam Cole said during the commentary that because of this pinfall, Young Bucks do get a shot of the AEW World Tag Team titles and bring those titles home to the Undisputed Elite. Now, Swerve and Keith Lee were in fact doing an interview, but they introduced people who were involved in Swerve's music and all this and other stuff since they were in LA. But of course, they still got the championship gold on mind. But however, they also want to focus not only just in tag team, but individual matches. And I think that's a good thing. We don't need to see them teaming all the time. We know they're great. But I think we will see Swerve in their glory be a thing. Now, Tony Schiavone set up an interview with the newcomer Athena. As you know, many fans have asked, are we going to see her in AEW? Well, looks like your answers has been delivered. It did. However, now Athena has something in mind. She has her sights set on the TBS title, which is a championship she is now gunning. However, her new management, Stokely Hathaway, doesn't believe that this will ever make money. But sooner or later, we will have that championship match. But the real question does remain. Is Athena going to be the one to break the record? We don't know. This later became escalated when, of course, when the baddies and Jade were confronted not only with Athena, but with Chris Statlander and Anna Jay. So that is something we're definitely going to see happen sooner or later. Now, our next match, we have Wardlow. As you know, he is no longer under contract with MJF. He takes on the blue collar JD Drake. This match was more like a walk in the park for him, and of course he put him in Symphony Powerbomb. Now, he was about to do an interview, a post match interview with Shivani, but that weasel, Smart Mark Sterling, comes out saying that they're serving him for the beatings that he gave to the security guards. But I knew Warlow was going to beat up the security guard that sent him the papers. He ripped the lawsuit and shove it back in that security guard's mouth. But the real question is, what's going to happen next? We don't know. Now, this coming Friday on Rampage, we will see Scorpio Sky put the TNT title against Dante Martin. They're not going to deny that he is a fantastic wrestler, but they believe that in a couple years later, he will be a far more better star. That, and that's the thing. But the problem is, they don't see that Dante is a capable wrestler. But we will see when he confronted them, tell them that he's ready for this, no matter what. Even a young guy can win a championship. Now, our next match, we have Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt Baker taking on Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. Now, as you know, the feud between Storm and Soho against Hayter and Baker has been escalating a little further. And I thought this was a pretty good match, but it was the Ruby Soho with the Destination Unknown that applied to Britt Baker, finish her off. As soon as the match was over, Hayter, who is nothing but a sore loser who can't stand the fact that Toni Storm is there, decided to whack her with the belt that Britt Baker received from Martha Hart. Now our main event is Daniel Garcia versus Jon Moxley. Now, this match was brutal. It was bloody. Not even Daniel Garcia was bleeding, but it was mostly Jon Moxley. But when things were going exactly the plan, Moxley was able to overturn the match to win it. But however, Jericho ran off from the commentary to ensure that Daniel Garcia wins. But however, Kingston was not that far from behind, took him out, and of course put Daniel Garcia in a submission hold. He had no other choice but to quit. However, during the post match, Jon Moxley likes the idea of Bloods and Guts with Kingston, so he's in. And that is something we definitely going to enjoy. So I think that's pretty much it with AEW. I believe it's time for GCW. Okay, GCW Downward Spiral took place on the 28th of May in Las Vegas. Now, this particular match always starts out with the scramble. We have Jamie Lloyd versus the Rotation. I don't know who he is, but I think I like the name. It's kind of catchy. Versus Marcus Mathers versus Matt Vandegrift versus Titus Alexander. And then finally, Early Morning Guy Steele. Now, I don't know who this guy is, but every time I think about the name Early Morning, I think about that song by Kid Rock, Early Morning Stone Pimp, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But I thought it was interesting, and I did not anticipate a whole lot. But however, again, I don't know who the hell is Early Morning Guy Steele, but he was very interesting. In fact, he was the one who picked up the victory. Now, I cannot remember, was it Vandegrift or Matters that he picked up the win? But hopefully I get to see him again. Now, we have a very interesting match. Boys versus girls. Yeah. I feel like I'm back in elementary in this match. You know what I mean? Do you guys remember when you guys were elementary? There's always that whole thing with the boys versus the girls. I feel that's what it is. We have, of course, the second gear crew, Matthew Justice, the Southern Psycho, Mance Warner, and Black Death, AJ Gray taking on Sandra Moon, Billy Starks, and Alley Catch. Now, Alley Catch, we know she has experience with being in matches with the second gear crew, but I highly doubt that Moon and Starks were ever in these type of matches. But if you guys are fully aware with with Second Gear Crew, you know they're gonna bring out the toys, but they have been very aggressive. They've been taking down. Well, I feel like Starks and Moon are the weakest link because this is not a type of match you see them in. But I have to say, I give them credit for stepping up, taking on the toughest SOBs on the planet. And and to my surprise, I did not anticipate the girls were gonna win. Now I forgot who actually made the pin for the win, but it was great. I think it was Alley Catch. I'm not sure, but but I think it was pretty awesome. Now our next match, we have Mike Bailey taking on the Finesse Chris Bay. It was a good match, cruiserweight X division, however you want to call it. But I was like, I was impressed by this match. I mean, this would have been like a match we definitely could see at Impact Wrestling since we know both of them are in. But it was the shooting star knee strikes that finished off Chris Bay by Mike Bailey, and he won the match. Now, our next match, we have All Heart Blake Christian taking on Matt Cardona. Now, for the record, I want to put this out because I mentioned this. This was the match that I mentioned that Cardona torn his bicep. Now, I want to say this on record here for everyone. I did not see how he torn the bicep, but I can admit I did saw how he put his hand like this. That's the indication that he hurt himself. Now, I don't know exactly the extent of the injury, but the match continued on regardless. But he gave Christian Blake a low blow and he picked up the victory when he put him down for a pinfall. So that kind of went in that direction. And of course, you can see the fans flipping him off while he's down on the ground, all happy that he won, but also in pain with a torn bicep. Now, our next match is tag team action. We have ASF and Gringo Loco taking on the dynamic duo Nick Wayne and Young and Dumb and Broke Jordan Oliver. I thought this match was amazing because I do like Nick Wayne and Jordan Oliver. You know, someone needs to tell them they need a tag name. I know he's involved with Young, Dumb, and Broke, but they should call themselves something. I feel they should. But it was fantastic. But it was Nick Wayne who picked up the victory by pinfall, while Jordan Oliver waits till the match was over and they won. Now, our next match we have is Effie versus Kevin Blackwood. Give me a minute. Excuse me. Now, Effie versus Kevin Blackwood. I thought this match was rather interesting. Now, we know that Blackwood is a tough SOB. But Effie, we know he does things unorthodox, which are awesome. I'm not going to lie about that. But I don't know how Blackwood would feel because I don't know if he ever faced him before. But if he has, then I don't know. But one thing for sure, we have seen Effie at certain occasions he took wins by cutting corners. Now we can say he should be playing a heel, but no, Effie is just Effie. That's how he rolls. He gets the win how he goes. And of course this time he didn't do that. He did pick up a huge victory on Blackwood when he pinned him down. And it was 1, 2, 3, and it was done. He pulled it off by applying the Stack Rider move. Now our next match, we got Jai Vidal versus Dark Sheik. I have to say this match was very special because you know Jai Vidal about his sexual orientation and you know Dark Sheik's well, but I thought this match was amazing. I'm always will be a Dark Sheik fan because I was blown away by her performance no matter where she goes, if it's in Alex Fights or GCW or wherever, but she's amazing. And she picked up a huge win on Jay Vidal, but in the end, Vidal showed respects to Dark Sheik, and I think it's a beautiful moment because this was a beautiful match, in my opinion, between these two. Now, our next match, we have Johnny Game Changer taking on the Bad Boy, Joey Janela. Now, I thought this match was insane. So, I could not expect a whole lot in this particular match. But, as you know, the bad boy trying to, um, how do I put this? Try to ways to win the match, but it did not work in every way. Of course, he gets frustrated, but when it comes to Johnny Game Changer, you know he finds ways to win by pulling a rabbit out of his butt, but it pulled off, but it worked. So he did that one move, I forgot what he calls it, and he picked up a huge victory on this one. Now, our main event, we have a tag team match. We have a death match in this one. But there was some changes. Originally, Drew Parker was supposed to be in this match teaming with Rina Yamashita. But however, due to himself getting injured, Cole Radrick stepped up to be his replacement. And I have to say, he may not be the choice, but I feel like he's a suitable replacement. And I did like how both he and Rina coexisted. But however, their opponents is a team that hate each other, and that is Alex Colon and John Wayne Murdoch. Now, if you guys don't remember, ever since John Wayne Murdoch made his return to GCW, Alex Colon was threatened by his parents, trying to pretend that he's invading his home and all this. But in this particular match, they did work very well. But like any other type of match like this, Murdoch stabbed Cologne and allowed for Cole Radrick to pick up the victory. I kind of knew it wasn't gonna work out, but of course, John Wayne Murdoch is trying to show who is in fact the boss here, and that's exactly what it's been like. And I think and that kind of tells us, but we will expect those two to face off each other sooner than we think. But as for the show, I think it was pretty good. I think I liked it, and it was a lot of fun. So, yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. I believe it's time to move on to our final review, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Go, go, do it. Yay! Okay. Our last review, we have Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling with Go Go Do It. This one took place on the 5th of May in Osaka. However, in this one, um, Yuka Sakazaki was not involved in this particular match. As you know, she was involved in the AEW Owen Hart Foundation tournament against Rio, but we all know how that turned out. But the show had to move on. Opening match, we have Aruna Neko taking on Yuki Aino. As you know, Aino has been a singles competitor ever since her tag team partner and blood sister Nodoka Temna retired and graduated from Tokyo Joshi Pro. She has been doing very well for herself. We know that she could be a potential challenger again for the Princess of Princess title, but that'll be for another time. But her strength continues to amaze me with how now she is showing herself now more as a singles competitor, and I can't wait to see what else she can throw into the mix. Now, our next match. This one is a rather unique match. This one is an Osaka Ultra quiz match. Now, here are the rules. If you have your opponent in a pinfall by 2 count, you have to answer a question. Answer it right, you continue on. Same thing with the continue on. However, if you get it wrong, you do the same thing over and over. However, the wrestlers involved in this, we have Kaya Toribami and Hyper Misawa. Now, Toribami actually picked up her first pin on Hyper Misawa. She got the question right. However, certain occasions, both of them couldn't get the question right until Hyper Misawa was able to pull it off. Now, the final pinfall or final one who gets the question. So it was Hyper Masao who picked up the victory. Really was a really fun match because I never seen you don't see this type of matches here in the States. But over there are certain promotions they do it just for fun. Now our next match we have Marijo Kiru taking on Yuna Manaze. Now, Kiru knows Manaze, Yuna Manaze, as you know, there's been some history with Manaze and Tokyo Joshi Pro until she decided to go freelance and train other wrestlers. However, this was more of a very interesting match, and it was Yuna who picked up the victory on Kiri by pinning her. And I'm sure, I know Kiru has been trying to get back on her winning ways, but so far no luck yet. I know she'll find the fire that she needs, but we'll get to that. Our next match, our next match is tag team action. We have Pam Harajuku teaming up with Raku to take on Free Wi-Fi, Noah Kakuta, and Hikari Nao. I'm a fan of Free Wi-Fi because they have been cohesive. Hikari Nao, as you know, she's been teaming with her for a long time. Even outside the ring, they hanged out a lot. But ever since she lost the international princess title, she is trying to get back. She's trying to get back in tag team action. As you know, this is her fourth partner so far. Hope everything's go well for her. But it was, in fact, Noah Kakuta who picked up the victory onto Paul Marijuku and Blam. That is, and I'm sure in no time those two will get another shot of the Princess Tag titles from, of course, the Magical Sugar Rabbits. Now our next match is also tag team action. We have Yuki Kamifuku and Saki Akia. Now, some people will say, wait a minute, is it Saki Akia Saki-sama? Well, they look alike, but the only difference is Saki-sama is French. Yeah, they look alike, but some people are not being fooled by that. Their opponents is Miyu Watanabe and of course Miyu Yamashita. Now these two have teamed up in the past and they have worked cohesively. But however, you look at Kamifuku and Akia, who they're both two of the tallest women ever, but they do amazing moments, and I think it shows. If you ever seen Miyu Watanabe, she is in a fantastic powerhouse. She can take on these two ladies, but it was just too much. It was Yuki Kamifuku who picked up the victory when she applied the the famouser twice onto Miyu Watanabe to pick up the victory. Now our last match is a 2 out of 3 falls 8-woman tag team match. We have team number one, Moka Miyamoto and Yuki Arai teaming with the Daisy Monkey, Arisu Endo, and Suzumi to take on Rika Tatsumi, Maki Ito, Mizuki, and Shoko Nakajima. Now, however, Yuka could have been on this match because she was a champion, but no. Rika Tatsumi is a suitable replacement, but Rika has this tendency to piss people off. She thinks she's funny. She thinks she's all that. However, there was a moment they told her to be in a match by herself, and that kind of sets the tone. But that's how exactly the match and the first fall ended, with her winning the match by submission on Arisu Endo. Now, in these type of matches, we know that possibly the opposing team will get the next, but this one was one of the most difficult matches. Of course, once again, Rika Tatsumi tried to be a smartass as always, but she tries to be nice, but however, nobody likes her except for Miyu Watanabe, who has been her close friend and tag partner. However, Shoko Nakajima was the one who picked up the victory by applying the diving senton onto Yuki Arai, picking up the victory. So it was pretty fun. and hopefully I'll see more Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. It was a lot of interesting and fun on this one. So I think that's pretty much it. I believe it's now time to do our news updates. So here are our news updates for everyone. This one was coming from Stardom for the new Blood 3. There was a press conference that happened recently. It did announce for two matches in particular. The first one we have Miyu Amasaki, who is the newcomer, and also the latest member to join Queen's Quest. Her opponent is none other than leader of of Donna Del Mondo, or as we call them, DDM, Julia. Now, this is going to be a very tough match for her due to the fact that she's facing a much different veteran wrestler than Utami that she's ever faced. So that's going to be an interesting match to watch. However, our next match was a very interesting one I did not anticipate. Waka Tsukiyama was placed into a match against someone I did not thought about, and that is Ram Kaicho. Now, if you guys don't know who she is, Ram Kaicho is the one with the paint face, all white. I don't know what is Waka thinking, but recently, because of her encounter with Zuzu, now she's picking matches against the dangerous and more dangerous wrestlers. But during the press conference, Ram attacked her, and then she's throwing white powder in her face, and then she did that to Rossy Ogawa, then Miyu Amasaki. Don't know what's that all about, but it's kind of interesting. Now, as you know, at the month of June, we have CyberFight, the second annual. There's been some changes on the card. Um, Katsuhiko Nakajima has replaced Naomichi Marufuji for in the big trios match, which is going to be DDT versus Noah. So, don't know exactly what's the reasons for now Marufuji not to be there, but I'll figure that out. However, that's not the only change they had in this match, in this event. To add, the match between Keno and Daisuke Sasaki is now turned into a hardcore match. Now, I don't know if Keno has any experience in hardcore matches, but I'm sure he will take this very personally against Sasaki ever since he decided to get in his face. Now, our last update is coming from Tokyo Joshi Pro. It was announced on the DT English Twitter page that they're going to retire their old song "You Grow Up" with a new one. Now, this one is called Princess March. I have to say that's a pretty good name. Uh, this one was composed by Masayoshi Sokan, who was the sound director of Final Fantasy VI, I believe, or no, Final Fantasy 14. And when will this song be debuted? Well, it's going to be debuting at CyberFight, and I can't wait to see how it goes. But that's pretty much it. I believe it's now time for me to call it a day. Well, for those who don't know, I messed up. I skipped a match that I did not put on my notes. You see, the process how I do is I wrote down every match on a notepad, then I put them in a composition book. However, I missed the one match I did not. That one is Miro versus Johnny Elite. Uh, this was Miro's first match back for quite some time. We know he took some time being we know he was involved in some movie or TV show, but now he's back and he's ready to take on the world. I have to say this match was very difficult for Johnny Elite because Miro is a powerhouse. He's in good shape. He's that kind of a wrestler that he will try to rip you in half, but it was until Miro applied the camel clutch and then bend him backwards. Johnny Elite has no other tap out. So I apologize. I did not put this on the AEW review, but I'll learn from my mistake from that. Now, I want to remind everybody, I don't know if there's going to be a new episode there's not going to be an episode, as by the time this video will be uploaded, I'm going to be already taking off on my little vacation. I'll try to put in some videos for reviews. It may not be like I normally would. There will be some events I cannot miss. For example, the finals of the best of the Super Juniors. That's one I cannot miss. But I'll do the best if I can to review them wherever I'm at. And some of you probably say, you should enjoy your vacation. I would, but I want to do the best I can to catch up with everything. That's the thing. But that's how I want to roll. That's how I want to do things my way. But I hope everybody appreciates that out of me because this is who I am. So, I'll see you guys on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.